Now, in this video, we're going to walk through how to calculate descriptive statistics for grouped data using the TI-83-84 calculator. Now, we have a sample of 44 automobiles registered in Dallas, Texas, and we have ages 1 to 3. There's 9 of them, ages 4 to 6, 12 of them, 7 to 9, 20 of them, and 10 to 12, 3 of them. So we cannot, because we do not have the actual original values, we can't calculate the true value of the mean or the standard deviation or anything else, but we can estimate it based on the mean of the age category and the frequency. So what we're going to have to do is put these data into two different tables in our TI. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to the stat menu, which is the third button over on the second row from the left. And then in the first menu, we're going to select edit, and we're going to get to the lists. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose the midpoint of our statistics to put in the mean. So here we're going to take, in this case, the lower limit and the upper limit, and we're going to divide them by 2. And that's going to get us the midpoint. And we're going to do that for all of our 4 categories. Then we're going to scroll over and we're going to put in list 2, we're going to put in the frequencies. So midpoints and frequencies. Then escape from the screen, so second the mode key. And then when you're back on the main screen, press stat again. And from here, you're going to scroll over to the calc menu and you're going to select 1var stats. This is the same one that you use for the regular descriptive statistics, but we're going to have to put in a list that indicates the frequency of the items in the list. So if you're using the stat wizard, your screen will look like this. If you are using the classic mode or you have an older calculator, the 1var stats function is going to come up on the screen. In the older version, we're going to need to specify list 1, which we would do for regular statistics as well, but then also comma list 2. So the comma is above the 7 key, and then second 2 will get us our list 2, and then we can hit enter and it will calculate it. If we're in the stat wizard mode, we would specify list 1 for the list, and then under frequency list, we would scroll down and we would enter second 2 for list 2, and before we hit calculate. Once you press enter, everything will look the same again, and you will get a similar screen of 1 variable statistics that are based on the data that you put in. And again, scroll down for all of them. They'll do the 5-number summary and everything else for you. But our average turns out to be about 6. And again, our standard deviation, this is a sample. The problem clearly states that this is a sample. So SX is our standard deviation. Now we can do a second example. Here we have data that we're taking off of a histogram. So here we have a random sample of 500 community college students. And this is recording the number of hours of sleep that they got. So some people got more sleep, some people got less sleep. Lots of people got 8 hours of sleep. So this is our histogram, and we're going to convert this into a frequency table and then calculate the statistics on it. So in the first list is going to go the midpoints of our categories based on the graph. This is going to be 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, all the way up to 12 hours. And so we would enter that into list 1. And then in list 2 is going to go the frequency, the count, the number that tells us how tall these bars are. So in list 2, and again, we have to do this in order. 12 would go with 5, 19 would go with 6, 60 would go with 7, 220 went with 8, and so forth 89 with 9, 40 with 10, 38 with 11, and we ran out of screen, but one more down would be 22 to go with 12. Once we have all the data, you can escape out of the screen and then press Stat, scroll over to the Calc menu, and then again select 1var stats. And this operation will be exactly the same as the previous one. We would specify 1var stats, L1, L2 in classic mode, or on the stat wizard screen, the list is the individual observations would be L1, the frequency list would be L2. And then when you press enter, then again, you'll have to scroll down to get the 5-number summary, but you will get all of these statistics reported on your screen. Now, one other thing that is worth mentioning here is that you may want to be doing this with a list of data that contains relative statistics. So if you have your frequency list is in terms of, let's say, probabilities, so they're in proportions of the total, the sum of your list will add up to 1, and then the SX line will be blank. So you won't be able to calculate the standard deviation. You can still calculate the mean and some other things. You can calculate the population standard deviation. But to calculate the sample standard deviation, you would need raw counts. So you would somehow need to convert your probability values, your relative frequencies, back into whole numbers of counts. This isn't a big deal if you know what the total number of observations is, or if you don't need the standard deviation, but that is something that you will have to keep in mind. This whole process will still work, except for the standard deviation, the SX will be blank. You will still have a again, a population standard deviation will still be there. If the sample size is very large, it's going to be very similar to the sample standard deviation anyway, but you can always then go back and convert it to counts if you know how big the sample is.